folks, let's talk about if it's really possible to support kids with learning differences like dyslexia virtually. Hi, I'm Nicola Lott. I'm an educational interventionist. I'm certified through CAT OG, and I specialize in supporting kids who have language-based learning differences like dyslexia using research-tested strategies. You can find me at notchilllearning.com. Okay, so virtual learning has been around in some form since the 70s. Back then you would do a correspondence course through the mail, and then in the 80s they kind of moved to sending off for VHS videos to watch on your television at home. And of course, since the internet has been around, it has blossomed. Today there's multiple ways of learning online. Universities have been doing it for 10, 15, maybe even longer years now. But of course, since COVID, it has exploded. And virtual learning can be done really well, or it can be done poorly. And I think sometimes because of COVID, it's got a bad rap. But I think you have to remember that there are thousands of teachers out there who are told at the drop of a hat to stop what they've been doing, and with no training, get online and teach virtually. And so that's not poor virtual learning. That's just survival teaching, and we should congratulate and pat those teachers on the back and call them heroes, and not critique what they have done to get children through during the COVID period. Let's talk about what virtual learning really should be. Okay, so there's different types of online learning. You can do like a sign up for a subscription to a computer program. You can take an online course. These have become super popular over the last few years. People use a lot of these learning management systems to upload their content, and you kind of go through a video, and then it asks you to do a quiz, and then another video, and it kind of fills that way, and then usually it spits out a certificate at the end. You can do one-to-one web conferencing with a real person. For the case of working with children with learning differences, you might have a teacher or a tutor or a certified practitioner on the other end of that call. And then there's virtual mentoring, which is the Notch Hill program, where we provide the content. So you subscribe to our content, and then you are guided by us as to what to teach your child for that session. So it's a three-way partnership, meaning that we work with you and your child. We jump in and do a little bit of one-to-one web conferencing if you get in a pickle, and we all work together, and it's personalized to your child. So those are the main ways you can do online learning. So when we teach children with learning differences, especially language-based learning differences like dyslexia, we need to have certain key features included in that program that research has shown us are very important. Now, a lot of children need these things, but children with learning differences more so. So the programs need to be explicit and structured. In fact, typically children have fallen behind from the generalized classroom teaching, which isn't necessarily explicit and structured enough for them. So it's extremely important that they're taught in a very incremental, explicit, structured kind of way. A lot of these children have working memory and retrieval challenges, so repetition is very important, because that works with the way that our brain moves information in and out of long-term memory and accesses our memories. So repetition is a key piece of what we do. It needs to be personalized. Our children have often experienced failure already. We don't want to put them on some kind of a program where it goes too fast for them and they discover that now they've failed a dyslexia program or something like that. I mean, that's just another huge kick in the gut for them, and they don't need that. What they need is a personalized program that works to support their strengths and fills in those challenges so that they can move forward successfully. A lot of children with learning differences have some anxiety around learning, so we want to provide strategies to help them overcome any of those fears or worries that come up when they come across difficult things in their learning. But we also want to be able to connect with them on a human level. It makes the learning so much more fun. And if you're coming in and you've had a bad day and your teacher can actually respond to that, that makes a huge difference too. So social-emotional connection it's huge. The program needs to be diagnostic, so it needs to analyze where the child is making errors and provide support on those errors rather than just sort of charging through. We did that last week, so we move on kind of thing. It needs to be reinforcing in the areas that it needs to. It needs to support executive function skills. Many children with learning differences also have struggles with executive function skills like attention, working memory, planning, time management, task adherence, stuff like that. So it's really important that we weave these skills into the teaching as well, because these skills are probably the things that are going to make them successful or fail in school more than having a learning difference. If you struggle with reading or writing, you can overcome that to some extent, but if you can't manage your time or organize yourself, you're going to have a harder time in school. So we need to be working those strategies too. The National Reading Panel and other compilation type literacy research and review the National Reading Panel and other similar kind of meta reviews of literacy research have defined there to be 5 key points for teaching literacy. So phonological awareness, phonics, vocabulary, reading fluency, reading comprehension, and then I like to put in writing as well as the 6th, and it needs to teach across all of those 5 skills in order to create a literate reader and writer. And the most, perhaps the oldest piece to working with children with learning differences, it goes all the way back to Samuel Orton and Anna Gillingham, is this whole idea of it being multisensory. So if you think that we take information into our brain through different learning channels, through our eyes, through our ears, through our voice, through movement, through touch, if we can combine more than one of those channels at the same time, we can really increase the ability for that learning to stick. So we need to be able to teach in a multisensory way. Okay, so we've got different types of online learning, and we've got the strategies that we know are really important for children with learning differences. Let's see how they compare. So computer programs. So computer programs are usually created by organizations with a lot of money, and they bring in some tech whizzes and people with PhDs, and they all sit down together and they come up with the latest whiz-bang computer program, and for the most part they can do explicit and structured on computers pretty well. So I'm going to give them a check on that front. Online courses. Now I haven't actually seen anybody trying to teach children with learning differences through an online course. I think it could be explicit and structured, but I'm going to give it a potential on that front because I'm not really sure how that would work in that field. One-to-one tutoring, absolutely. If you're working with a registered practitioner or teacher or somebody who actually knows how to work with children with learning differences, it is the cornerstone of what they do, so they get a check. And with virtual mentoring, the same thing is part of what we do, is make sure the program is explicit and structured. So we talk about repetition. This is something that's pretty easy for a computer program to do. In fact, they can do it really well because they can take the same skill and apply it in different types of games. So I'm going to say yes, they are good on that front. Online courses, normally they're kind of linear. You kind of just work your way through them. So I'm going to say no on that one, and maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine, I haven't seen anything that makes me feel that would be good. One-to-one tutoring, yeah, typically if you know what you're doing, then you're building that repetition into your lesson, so for sure. And in our virtual mentoring program, of course, we include repetition is 50%. Like review of previous knowledge is about 50% of every session. Personalized. Okay, so this is sort of the holy grail for computer programs. They have been working hard on this over the last while. They've got a lot better. So now if you make an error, the computer can log that, and it will track your errors, and it will provide you more activities based on that error. So for that reason, yeah, they are becoming much more personalized. If your child likes animals, the computer program, I have yet to see a computer program that can change all the games to animals. They're basically, it's themed the way it's themed, and regardless of what your child's interests truly are, they just follow their theme, and your child needs to enjoy that. So it's not really personalized. And is it really truly understanding the error, or not? So I'm going to say they're trying, but I'm not going to quite give them a check for that just yet. Online courses, no, they're very much, everybody follows the same bouncing ball. One-to-one tutoring, yeah, absolutely. That's one of the best pieces of it, is that you can fully customize and create a program for every child. So yes. Virtual mentoring, absolutely, because we design a program for your child, and then you are working with your child, so you can customize it based on what you know, which is a lot about your child. So it's fully personalizable. For social and emotional, I have yet to see a computer program that can, if a child's having a hard time getting to the computer program can provide support. I've yet to see a computer program that, when a child's fully able to do something but is just tired that day, is able to just kind of go a little bit easy on the child, or throw in a couple more games based on how the child's feeling. I have yet to see one teach strategies around frustration and managing frustration. So I'm going to give computer programs a no for that, and I'm giving online courses a no for that, because they're essentially computer programs. One-to-one practitioners absolutely can provide social emotional support, and in virtual mentoring we provide support for parents if they're having a hard time, because sometimes there's that parent-child relationship going on there, so we provide social emotional support that way. We also have woven in strategies for parents to teach their children as they work through the program around dealing with frustration. Okay, so diagnostic. This is something that computer programs are kind of a natural fit for. They can, for phonics, they can kind of throw up some graphemes on the screen, and you can see if you get the right picture with the right grapheme. So in that way, yeah, they can diagnose. But that's not, remember the literacy 5? So phonics is not the be-all and end-all of literacy. So some of them try to do phonological awareness to better and worse extents, but they still can't hear you. So you can't fully, if your child is segmenting a word and their vowel sounds are wrong, they may get the right number, but if they sounding is wrong, the computer can't hear that. I have yet to see a computer program that can really do a good job with reading fluency, reading comprehension it can do, vocabulary they can do, because they can do like pick the picture that works best for this word, but vocabulary is so much more than that. And in fact, word definitions is like the driest part of vocabulary, and it's the piece that children most react to. So I don't think that's a great way to teach vocabulary. Furthermore, I have yet to see a computer program that can point out when a child's handling its pen wrong, or if it's actually the child's forming their letters wrong. So you know what? I hear you, computer program designers. You're trying really hard. You're doing a great job in some fronts. I'm going to give you a check marks, but there's definitely areas that you have yet to master. For online courses, I think we'll give them a check and a cross. They're really not able to diagnose. One-to-one practitioners, absolutely, they can diagnose. They start every child typically with an assessment, and then from there they're constantly tweaking as the lessons go on. And the same with our virtual mentoring. The assessments are done by myself or a registered practitioner so that we can really delve deep into where the challenges and the strengths are for your child. And then as the lessons go on, you're providing feedback to us, and we're really tracking what's going on and how do we need to tweak those sessions. For executive function, again, like I haven't seen a computer program that teaches these strategies, so that's a no. Online courses, there's a potential for teaching those strategies if they put them in, but I haven't seen any. But we'll just say there's a potential. One-to-one practitioners, yeah. So there's definitely, again, there's a huge potential there for practitioners to teach executive function skills. However, I just don't see it all that much. So it's totally possible. It's definitely, if you're looking to work one-to-one with a practitioner, it's definitely something you should ask for. It's often just not something that people think about. But in our virtual mentoring program, we absolutely include those skills and strategies as part of the program. Multisensory. Okay, so computer programs. So if you think that multisensory could be hearing something and seeing something, then a computer program technically is multisensory. But that's the only learning channels that it can really use. And multisensory really means so much more than that. It means touching, it means movement, it means, having your fingers memorize movements and motions, and saying as you're doing, and reminding children that as they're writing they need to be saying, and so they can hear. And so for that reason, I'm giving computer programs across for multisensory learning, and I'm going to give online courses across too, because they're not even able to kind of interact with the child. One-to-one practitioners. So because a lot of people have gone online recently, there's a lot of people teaching online who kind of fell into it during COVID. And absolutely, you can work really hard to make sure that your practice is multisensory when you teach online. It is more of a challenge, but it is possible. And if you're working with a practitioner and you're not seeing the multisensory aspect happening, you should absolutely push and ask for that side to not be missed. So it's absolutely possible. It is harder. And so what we're seeing is some people are more successful at delivering a multisensory online program than others. So I'm giving that one a potential. Now with virtual mentoring, because the actual teaching is happening in your house between you and your child, they're watching the content through a video, and then they're actually doing it themselves. They're actually using manipulatives. They're writing, and you're actually able to sit there and watch them. We're fully able to provide the multisensory support as if they were learning in class from a certified practitioner. The literacy 5, so kind of going back to, touched on this a little bit before, Computer programs don't do a great job with phonological awareness, although they're trying. They do pretty good with phonics. So they do some vocabulary, but they just like the tip of the iceberg. Fluency, comprehension they can do. Fluency they struggle with. Writing they basically can't touch unless it's a typing program. And I have yet to see one computer program that tries to cover all of the Literacy 5, never mind the writing component. So I'm giving the computer programs a cross for Literacy 5. Online courses, sorry, but you're getting a cross too. One-to-one tutoring, absolutely. If you're working with a certified practitioner, should be providing the Literacy 5. And with virtual mentoring, of course, we offer it. It's woven into everything we do. Okay, so for costs, the computer programs are prohibitively expensive to make. Like I said, they bring together the computer nerds and the edu nerds, I guess, and they come together and they create these amazing things, and they can deliver those. But for some of them are quite expensive, like the school districts are the only people that can afford them, and other ones are much more affordable for families to use. So I'm giving them a check mark because there are affordable computer programs out there. They don't deliver the whole program, but they do have a place for sure. Online courses, again, they're not super expensive, so I'm going to give them a check mark too. One-to-one tutoring, this is expensive. So you're going to need to see the tutor or practitioner or teacher 2 to 3 to 4, maybe even 5 times a week. And their hourly rate is that of a professional, so it adds up really fast. So I'm giving that one a cross because this is a wonderful solution for those who can afford it. With the virtual mentoring, we were thinking about this imbalance between people who can afford the gold standard, the one-to-one solution, and the people who just don't have that kind of money. And we were feeling that it wasn't fair when you're given a genetic brain difference, that it's your success on transiting through that is based on whether your parents can afford to help you or not. So with virtual mentoring, it's a program that was designed to be much more affordable. You can use it 5 or 7 days a week if you like. We don't recommend you using it less than 2 days a week. It's the same cost. We have a weekly fee, and we are trying to keep it as affordable as possible. So there you have it. What do you think? Is it possible to deliver a fully functioning curriculum to support children with learning differences online? Yeah, I really do. I really believe it is possible. I believe that this is an industry that is still figuring itself out. It's still finding its feet, and that COVID has really helped it move forward into the next century. Thanks. We hope that was really helpful for you as you are figuring out how to support your child best. Feel free to check out our website at notchilllearning.com. I hope to see you soon.